Do you have experience with the choice paradox? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with day 292 of our BU 365-day challenge. This year's annual challenge, that's not even a hard thing to say in the morning, is all about doing one thing every day, usually a little thing, or usually just noticing something about how we're behaving right now in the present moment. Because the only way we can make any changes in our life, affect anything, create the life that we want, is by knowing where we are right now. If we know where we are right now, and we know where we want to be, then we can start moving toward where we want to be and who we want to be and how we want to show up in the world by doing small things every day. Sometimes we think we have to make these massive changes in order to change our life. And sometimes we do have to do that. Sometimes we have to make big decisions and big choices. But it's the day-to-day choices. It's the moment-to-moment decisions in terms of how we're going to look at something, how we're going to think about something, how we're going to feel about something that cumulatively create our life experience and therefore create our life. So today, the choice paradox, pretty fun one. It basically says that the more choices you have, the less satisfied you are with any and each one of those choices. And I got to think about this. I thought, well, is that true? Because we talked about having too much of things and too many options. I think, geez, just yesterday maybe. And that paradox, well, this one basically says when you have too many choices to choose from, and I find this when I'm analyzing those choices, I share something called the SOAP framework, and we're gonna hop into that next week, and we're gonna go through an area of our life that we want to improve. We're gonna apply the Sudsy SOAP framework, and the first step of that is to tell our story. What is the current story we're telling ourselves about this thing? So let me pick some examples from my life to illustrate this, and they're gonna be girl examples or woman examples because I'm a woman. So let's start with too many clothes. How many women do you know that will admit they have too many clothes? I have too many tops, too many shirts. Why? Because I want to show up every day for my videos, and I do videos every day in a different shirt. My daughter thinks that's ridiculous. My sisters think it's ridiculous. But I learned in corporate America, and my past experience has told me men can show up in a similar outfit every single day or have like a uniform, and women are expected to look different every day and put together every day. It's why I put on makeup every day. I mean, do I want to put on makeup every day? No. Is it challenging for me personally because I have vision challenges? Absolutely. I just got an awesome magnifying mirror from my sister, which I can actually see my face a little bit. So that makes it easier to put on makeup. I don't know how long that's going to last, but as long as it is, I'm definitely grateful and appreciating it. So too many clothes, too many choices. So that means I'm less satisfied with each and every one. Well, am I actually less satisfied with each one, or am I using that as a filtering tool to make a choice and make a decision? Now, in the SOAP framework, we come up with options. The O for the SOAP framework is options. How many options? And I always strive for, and my personal comfort zone is, I want to have 10 options. I want to have 10 brainstormed options to analyze and choose from. And maybe it's because the more we have, the more negatively focused we are on the positives and the negatives of each of those possible solutions. And since we're bringing up all the negatives, it means we're less satisfied with each one. I think it's human nature and our human tendency to think about all the reasons something won't work or all the reasons it's a bad thing first. Why? Because of decades, depending on how old we are, of conditioning and experience. And that's the way our world has trained us to focus on things. When we were in school, when you got your papers back, did they have how many you had right? Some teachers did that, but the vast majority of them, big red check marks and how many you got wrong, right? -10, -3, -18, whatever it happened to be. And that reinforced for us focusing on the negative of things. So we can do that, and it is what it is. But I started thinking about, is this true for me? So this morning, as I'm picking out a shirt, I'm looking at, and here's how I personally narrow down this overload of choice and the negative way of looking at it. I do it with picking a shirt every day as well as picking my nail color. Again, a girly example, but if you've ever gone to the nail salon and gotten your nails done, and I think I've been going to get my nails done now, I don't even know how many years, but it's well over a decade. And when you go into the salon, they hand you either a book or all these little nail tab things that you have to sort through and find a color. And I learned early on going to the salon, it was really, really hard for me to pick a color instantly like that. So I started to create little tricks to help me make decisions. So I would have a color family in mind, like, okay, I want green nails, or I wanted black nails this time. And then I'm only looking at the black related nails. I do that with my clothes. And my fingernail color actually helps me to narrow down my selection of shirts, because I'm going to wear ones that go with my nails while I have that nail color. Nail colors last 2 or 3 weeks. So that means 2 or 3 weeks I'm going to focus on, I happen to be focusing on black these days, and I've mixed it up a little bit, but mostly black for my nail color, because it helps me to narrow down my too many shirts challenge and what am I going to wear today. And we can do that with everything. And guess what? It doesn't make me dissatisfied with the selections of those colors. It means I just have to filter through those colors first and say, okay, what am I feeling like today? So I'm curious if you find that this is true for you. I have found that in certain situations, certain scenarios, too many choices means I'm dissatisfied with each one a little more than I normally would be. I think of that in terms of dating, right? If you have too many choices, you start to compare them to one another, which is human nature again, and you're focusing on what you don't like about each of the other individuals in order to select the one that you do want. And then the one that you do select, you're wondering all the time if you picked the right one, if you made the right choice, you made the right decision. Do the same thing in business. Did I pick the right focus? Did I pick to work on the right project? And I have all kinds of tools and strategies that I use. We've talked about a lot of those this year. Decision making, analyzing tools, the simplest one being plus or minus, all the positives of something, all the negatives. And I've used that throughout my entire life. My dad taught my sisters and I that when we were little girls, and it served me really, really well, especially when I need to make a quick decision or a quick choice among alternatives. But I try to make sure I get over that hump of being just dissatisfied, focusing on the positives as well as the negatives. So curious, today our action item is to think about this particular paradox and ask yourself if this is one that applies to you and if this is true to you. I think the other day we asked ourselves, what do we have too many of? You can probably just look at it with respect to something that you have a lot of in your life and say, does having a lot of this make me feel more satisfied or less satisfied, more positive and happy or less positive and happy? I can think of now that this has come up, so many situations and so many experiences where this applies to me and my life. I read a book, and I think it was a negotiating book or a business book. I read lots. So even today with vision challenges, I find ways to consume a lot of information, and it all goes in my head and gets mixed up and then pops out in different ways and in different situations and different scenarios. Usually when I need to know something, I can find it in there somewhere. So I don't remember what the book was. I don't remember what the author was, but I think it was a negotiating book. And the gentleman was talking about this exact paradox that we tend to focus on. Maybe it was just a personal development guru. Can't remember now. But he was talking about this exact paradox where the more choices we have, and I think it was with respect to deciding who you were going to date and have a long-term relationship with. It was a negotiating book. Anyway, talking about that and this exact topic, that you make a choice, and then when you make this choice, all of a sudden you're second guessing and wondering if the other person wouldn't have been the best person for you. So think about this today and how it might be impacting you right now and what you're doing to counteract it. A lot of times we tend to have and narrow our choices down to just one or two things, which I think is worse than the feeling of having too many choices and being dissatisfied with all of them, because at least then, and that's why I force us to come up with 10 possible options to start moving from where we are toward what we want when we use the SOAP framework. If I have 10 options, I can analyze those. Some are going to be something that I'm absolutely positively not going to do. Others are going to be things that I could do super easily. And then the most of them are going to be in the middle, right? They're going to take some work, some effort, some resources in order to pull them off. So I can get quick ones by doing the little immediate ones fast. I can think about the longer term ones from a bigger perspective and a bigger picture that allows me to expand and grow. And the ones in the middle, I can prioritize and analyze and decide what makes sense for me at any given time. But it arms me with an arsenal of actions I can take, things I can do in the back of my mind and on a subconscious level, knowing that I always have options. There's always things I can do, because so often we tell ourselves, this is a situation and there's nothing I can do about it. What does that do? Stops us dead in our tracks. And this challenge is all about just finding the things we can do a little bit toward every day. So share in the comments below, maybe something that, or some way you've learned to deal with having a lot of choices. Because, I mean, the truth is we have infinite possibilities and infinite choices in all areas and aspects of our life. I don't know about you, having infinite choices is too much for me. So I have to put filters on things so that I can pick and choose among the things that work for me right now. All right, any questions about this? Hit me up. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. Have an absolutely fantastic day and enjoy each and every choice you get to make, because that's our ability to exercise our freedoms. All right, have a great day, and I'll be with you tomorrow.